Members of Congress are likely going to head home this weekend, leaving the country in a limbo that we've never experienced before in our nation's history, by the way.
And joining us for more now is Michigan Congressman and member of the House Financial Services Committee, Congressman Bill Huizenga. Sir, thanks for joining us. So this is extremely important vote, decision, meetings. How come everyone's going home this weekend?
Well, I'm actually obviously, well, maybe you don't know this. I'm in my Washington office. I think there's more people here than is getting reported. Why? Because of those conversations and what needs to happen. So yes, there are some people that headed home. There's a lot of us that stayed around because we're trying to figure this out and have the conversations. I will tell you this. There was absolutely a need for a cooling off period. It was extremely tense, extremely heated. People were very, very frustrated. Now, here's what I have asked our leadership to do is let's have this candidate forum on Monday. Who cares whether it's Columbus Day or not? That the rest of America actually works. It's only banks and the stock market and the federal government that doesn't.
Right.
But let's get back here Monday, have that forum, and start voting on Tuesday. I hope that's what's going to be. That's what I've last heard is going to be happening. But here's the simple fact. We've got to get together and have some consensus. What I'm not sure of is that we're going to be able to do this at any time quickly. There is so much damage that has been done with trust and relationships right now. And that, frankly, goes across the aisle.
You got to be kidding me, really. You think next Wednesday we don't see a vote and get this thing wrapped up? You think that we're going to see what we saw in January again?
I'm praying not. I really, really am hoping not. But I have not seen a coalescing behind any one particular candidate. You brought up two, Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise. There's another, Kevin Hern, who's out there having some discussions. There's discussions among members of saying, you know what, maybe we want nobody who's in leadership right now and get somebody completely new and different. And so we're starting more from square one than I think a lot of people assume we are. And that's part of the problem of why we should never have gone into this in the first place. And this is, you had a few people that were chasing cameras. You had a few people that were actually concerned on some policy. But these are the same people who voted against lower spending, securing the border requirement, and a bill that I had introduced that would put in place a fiscal commission, a debt commission on both sides to have an honest conversation about the 70% of our spending that's on autopilot.
So you supported Kevin McCarthy, Congressman, and you talked about everyone, tempers are hot right now in Washington. I get that. Did you see this, the Washington Post yesterday, Newt Gingrich, Republicans must expel Matt Gaetz? And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so Saturday we've got a Democrat in Congress, Jamal Bowman, who committed a felony, pulled a fire alarm, punishable 6 months in Washington. It's 30 years in other parts of this country, and nobody even mentions that. Matt Gaetz, do you believe this, the conjecture that Gaetz was doing this for fame?
I think it was more personal than that. And I think he absolutely had a personal vendetta against Kevin. Look, there was fundraising getting sent out in the middle of
but Congressman, everybody does that. Everybody does that.
No.
Everybody does that.
Hold on. No, not everybody does that. I didn't do it. The vast majority of my colleagues didn't do it. The Democrats did it, and a few select Republicans did it. So do not say that.
Well, but hold on. Politicians, by definition, are going to take advantage of political moments to fundraise. Look what Donald Trump is doing right now with the trial in New York. Of course, they're going to take advantage of it.
There is proper times and proper places. That was not a proper time or a proper place.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people took issue with.
Hold on. Can you just tell me why? Explain that to the American people.
Why? Because we are in the middle of a continuing resolution of what's going on to fund the government, keep the government open. Again, erroneously, there were some of these folks who believed that if we shut it down, we would get more progress faster. My experience in the 2013 shutdown with the Obama administration and the 2018-2019 shutdown with the Trump administration demonstrated to me otherwise. So that's a tactics issue. Personal vendettas are very, very different. And you've had 8 of my colleagues who teamed up with every Democrat.
Right.
And you just played that clip about how Nancy Pelosi was supposedly going to have Kevin's back and all those other things, right? Suddenly we are at a point where we are even further behind the curve because we cannot do anything on the House floor until we pick that speaker.
Right.
So that's getting back to your original point. Why aren't we doing anything on the House floor? It's because we can't until we get this sorted out.
By the way, do you have a candidate that you're supporting? Just quickly.
Yeah, I have not chosen a candidate as yet. I want to hear what their solution is to make sure that this doesn't happen again. At a minimum, we need a change of attitude, if not a change in the rules.
It's never happened before. And I can just tell you the optics aren't great for the party. We're 13 months away from a really important election. And I think a lot of people out there just hope this gets wrapped up next Wednesday and we don't see a repeat of what we saw 9 months ago. But I think people at home appreciate the fact that you are still in Washington and not back in your district right now. I think that says something about you. Congressman Huizenga, we appreciate you being with us. Keep us posted. We'll keep following this. Hope you come back and see us, though. Thank you.
You got it. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Our pleasure.